Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. We begin our video with a story about another Karen who cares little about anything but herself. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Very late night shopping. Was cashier in a box store around the holidays, so the whole place was naturally going to be destroyed each day by the hordes. We were shorthanded one particular closing shift, so it was a doozy. We closed at 11, made loudspeaker announcements at 10:30, then every 5 minutes beginning at 10:45. They aren't quiet. You can't miss them without earplugs or perhaps loud headphones. Then we spent time cleaning, restocking our lanes and sections, etc. There was tons of extra work beyond full-staffed, non-holidays closing, and I was still there at midnight when the manager turned off half the lights across the entire store per usual. We had go-backs galore, so around 12:30 I began my trek around the store to reshelve them. You can see where this is going. Halfway through rounding a corner, I run into a full cart being slowly pushed by a middle-aged woman, obviously a customer. She asked me where some item was, as if she wasn't alone at 1:45 in the morning in the back of a large store that's totally empty with the main lights out, music off, obviously closed. I have no idea how she avoided being encouraged or escorted to the front as we were getting ready to close, or after. One would have to be purposeful about it, or it'd be a hell of a coincidence nobody saw them. It took a few minutes of increasingly forceful insistence that she head straight to the front exit with me, where I then had to ask my manager to unlock the front doors. Of course, the shopper acted gobsmacked she couldn't just check out real quick, then tried to act put upon after I informed her our tills were empty, our registers shut down, and there's no such thing as doing a real quick checkout on a totally full shopping cart. Oh yeah, and it's 2 hours past closing time. My manager was less kind and provided a loud, "What the hell are you still doing in here?" before taking the reins and practically bouncing this woman out the doors. Immune to attempted bluster and threats of her calling corporate, we kept her card at customer service after pulling any freezer or refrigerator items out and running those back, and finally left a half hour later. I wasn't working the next day, so don't know if she came back to purchase her cart full of stuff, but hope she did, just so nobody had to reshelve anything. I'm glad your manager flipped out on her. People like her clearly have never worked in retail when she inconveniences everyone in the store and thinks you'll bend over backwards for her. And our second story. No rest for the wicked. You can't give yourself a weekend off. So I've been working at this gas station/car wash for about 2.5 years. No, gas stations don't pay very well, so I actually have 2 part-time jobs. That's the way it is. With the COL in this city, you're either rich or you work 2 jobs. The way I manage that is, at the gas station I work a few nights graveyard shift, on it right now, and weekends, since most folks want Saturday and Sunday off. One nice thing about those shifts is I usually work alone. I like to think the management knows and trusts me to handle anything, especially on weekends when it can get pretty crazy. Lately, I've been given the task of training new hires, but this one gal, I don't think she's going to work out. She's, how shall we say it, lazy Lucy. Look, I'm not quick to judge people, but when she actually bragged that at her other graveyard job she sleeps on duty, then I didn't have high hopes. We've worked together for a few weekend shifts now, with her taking off early because you're here so I don't have to stay all day, right? Well, whatever. We weren't going to work together in the future anyway. I'd heard she was going to be part of the staff at a different, bigger location. Last weekend, Lucy was off the schedule, so I assumed she'd been placed at the other gas station, but this weekend she was back on the same shift with me. More training, perhaps? But okay, I could use the help on those hustle days. Saturday, I go in for the afternoon shift, and the morning coworker I was relieving says Lucy'd been there already a few minutes ago and then just left. When Lucy had heard that I was coming in too, she announced that 2 people weren't necessary and promptly gave herself the day off. WTF. OFC, I contacted the manager because this was getting ridiculous. After talking to Lucy, the manager gave me the whole story. Lucy was supposed to work at the other gas station, but there'd been a slight schedule printing mix-up, what with Lucy being new and all. While it's understandable if maybe she went to the wrong place, but why didn't she call or head over to the right location? Answer: because she didn't want to. Lucy said that the other station was too busy and there was too much work to do. I'm not making that up. That's a direct quote. Why does she think we hired her? Reasonably, the manager had listened to Lucy's explanation for not working with me on Saturday, that 2 people weren't necessary. So the manager asks me, "Do you want to come in tomorrow or would you like it off? And Lucy will cover for you." Really? I haven't had a Sunday off since I started working here. So I said, sayonara and see you Monday. And now Lucy is scheduled for every weekend at that busy location for as long as she plans on working for the gas company, which shouldn't be long. That's what happens when they hire people who think they're managers into entry-level roles. Their rationalizations can bring down the company. And our next story. Ex tries to bully me with custody agreement, so I play dirty. My ex-husband Brian was/is a toxic, controlling narcissist. Classic case. Our divorce was very bitter, but I tried to be fair, splitting custody and giving him decision-making authority under the assumption that he would be a better father than he was a husband. Things went well for about a year. I got a new boyfriend who was great to both me and my kids and wanted to be involved in their life. When he found out my new boyfriend Tom was going to be attending my kids' fall festival at school, he went off the deep end. He abruptly decided he wasn't going to watch the kids while I worked anymore. He also refused to let my friends or family watch the kids and said he had to meet them first, but then would refuse to do so and claimed he would sue me for going against the custody agreement since he had decision-making authority if I got a babysitter he didn't approve of. I lost 2 days at work scrambling to find any place available, which was difficult because of the school's location they attend. He began asking the kids to call him every night, which is fine, but if we were eating or busy doing something and I told him it would have to be later when they call, he would rage and threaten to sue me. He began asking me at all times where I was with the kids. One day I went into work for 3 hours to clean up some things I missed due to a storm. I left the kids with Tom since waking them up at 4:30 a.m. seemed needless. When Brian found out, he raged and threatened to sue me. He threatened to apply for child support even though we split custody. He raged about every little thing. He didn't bring the kids to the Christmas school play because he knew Tom would be there. He fought me over medical appointments for the kids and refused to pay his share because he didn't agree to the appointment and, of course, would sue me. He wouldn't let me have the kids during his time, even to let them attend birthday parties or sleepovers with friends or family, something we'd been doing for each other with no issue. This went on for about 2 months before I snapped. I hate when parents are willing to hurt their kids over their own egos. He kept threatening to take me to court, and I was fed up with the empty threat. So first I wanted to make sure he couldn't afford to fight me in court. Brian was on food stamps. I knew it was only because he was claiming to pay his ex-wife rent. She still owns half the house, and he still owed her half the value. I sent his ex-wife a message asking her if she was getting rent from him, and she said no. I sent that letter to DCF, and they closed his food stamp card and sued him for fraud. Then his ex-wife turned around and sued him for the value of the house since he was claiming to have been paying her all along. Then I sued him to modify the custody agreement to take out all the things he was using to try and harass me. I had screenshots of every nasty thing he sent me. I had a letter typed by his lawyer stating he was looking for another job since I wasn't paying him, and that's why he couldn't watch the kids. So if he tried to get child support, I could prove he was capable of finding more income. I had medical records and receipts showing I'd paid for everything for the past year for the kids' health needs. I had records of things he said to the kids about me. I had pictures of them looking filthy when picking them up from his house. I had receipts of everything I'd spent on the kids for the past year. He folded pretty quickly, can't harass me anymore, and is still paying off his first ex-wife. And our last story. Owner says employees are replaceable? Great. So about 2 years ago, I was working as an assistant manager at a small business, about 20 to 25 employees overall. I'd been there about 5.5 years, 3 as an entry-level position, and then as the business grew, the manager was getting overwhelmed, so they created an assistant manager position and put me in it. Now I was their jack of all trades, covering multiple positions in the business when needed, built and maintained a new website, old one had not been updated in several years, served as the entire IT department, got a new phone system installed along with replacing another major critical piece of equipment, DIY minor building updates, inventory management, distributor relationships, and more. Well, owner number 1 was fed up with owner number 2's BS. 01 was the responsible one that knew what was going on. 02 was just along for the ride and said either sell me your half or buy my half. Well, 02 ended up choosing to stay. A few staff left because, including the manager, while the rest of us braced for the disaster that was coming while we decided what to do. On to the malicious compliance. As assistant manager, the staff had brought some concerns about quality and staff safety to me, so I brought them to the owner. The response I got was, I don't care about staff concerns, they're all replaceable anyways. I was also told to tell the staff they should no longer bring their concerns to me, but to the new manager, her hire that had been there 2 weeks and no one trusted yet. Well, I went home that night, shared the entire conversation with most of the staff, and typed up my 2-week notice. Handbook said 4 weeks required, but I refused to work for her longer than 2 weeks more, and turned it in the next morning. The fallout. So in addition to losing me and everything I normally did, had also taken over scheduling since we were short-staffed and the new manager didn't know the staff yet and what we needed. Another 3 to 4 people quit over the next month, leaving the owner overall with about 50% of the staff that place needed, and even at full staffing, we were barely managing. The website has not been touched since I left, still has the old owner and other outdated information up. I've gotten multiple questions about where something was or how to do something because no one else knows how to run certain things. A number of their clients I know have left because things have been getting worse in their product, and overall, I give it a couple of years before she has to sell or close because I can't imagine it's going well. She's absolutely right. Everybody in business is replaceable. Turns out she was the one that needed replacing. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.